I'm curious about vibration, and I'm very sensitive to how things feel in my body, and I can sense the vibration of emotions. And I'm curious about the difference in vibration, difference of excitement and love. And where are they the same vibration and just it's a different intensity, or how do they relate to one another?
Why does it matter?
Because I think a lot of people, they've reached this plateau of peaceful joy and happiness.
There's no plateau. Which do you prefer is the only question. The feeling of love or the feeling of excitement? And why are you making a distinction between them?
I was curious from the answer, yeah.
This is a really good question. And it's at a really good place that you're putting it here. So let's chew this over. And since the question is yours, you'll be the most likely one to feel the answer as it happens. So we're talking about vibration, so much so that it's irritating at times for you, we know. But when we talk about vibration that is tangible, then that's something more interesting to human beings. And so a vibration that is tangible is something that you can feel. And the better it feels, the more you like it. And the worse it feels, the less you like it. So this relationship between you and the subsequent vibrational relationship, which is what all emotions are indicators of your relationship with your inner being. In other words, that's why they exist. And so when you think conceptually, when you're contemplating what might be the best thing for me to do in terms of what I want to create, it gets sometimes sort of confusing and wonky for you because you forget something that we want to continue to remind you, and that is everything that you want, no matter what it is, whether it's a material object or a pile of money or a relationship or a state of being or circumstance or event, doesn't matter. Everything that you ever want or anybody else ever wants is for one reason and one reason only. You think you will feel better in the having of it. So everything, all of this manifestation, it all exists and you've figured it out, is for the benefit of your joyful, satisfying unfolding of life experience. So when you put all of that as the underpinning of the conversation that we're having, and then you say, what's the difference between a feeling of love or a feeling of excitement or enthusiasm? Both of them are high-flying vibrations. Both of them feel good, and both of them are relative to something. Both of them are in connection with source energy. And so a feeling of love, let's focus upon a feeling of love. Can you focus upon a feeling of love and focus on someone? Esther always, when we would ask that question, would focus on Kate. So much so that once when Esther was mad at Jerry, he said, pretend that I'm Kate. She just couldn't find any thought other than love when she focused on Kate. But let's really explain it. When she focused on Kate, she couldn't find a resistant thought. And in the absence of resistance, she was in perfect sync with the way her inner being feels about Kate. So that feeling of love is perfect alignment with source, because if there is a word that describes or defines or is source, it would be that. Now, humans do all kinds of weird things with the word, but in its purest form, love and appreciation are actually such close vibrations that there's no point really in defining the difference between them. You just like it better when we say love. So in complete alignment with your inner being, you're really going to like this. Love, let's just say, all right, here it is. You accept your emotional scale, yes? You could be fearful all the way to exhilarated or whatever that high-flying love appreciation is. So you get the boundaries isn't the right word, but the spectrum of your emotional scale. It's almost impossible for you to mentally conceive of your inner being's emotional scale, because its lowest point is what you call love. We like how you got that. Now, tune into your inner being and together focus on something new and find out what's beyond love. You might call it passion. You might call it exhilaration, but you'll know it when you feel it. It's just more momentum. Is it a higher frequency? Yes, it's that too. but it's a higher frequency that's been focused upon longer, so there's more momentum about it. What does more momentum give you? Think about it. In terms of your physical environment. Think in terms of the physics that you learned in school or didn't learn in school and are learning now. What does momentum bring to the equation? More power, more movement, more getting things done. If you want to be a powerful creator, then tune yourself to the frequency of love and then turn on the juice. So this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If you become more specific about a subject before you're in sync with your inner being, Leading Edge Creators, are you with us? And then you decide to become more specific from that place of your connection with love. Rapture. We can't even find words. Esther calls it the magic. It's where the exhilaration is so strong and the feeling of appreciation is unspeakable. And the power, the demonstratable power of that kind of alignment moves mountains, moves oceans, moves movements, moves people, changes power. And we know, we could tell by visiting with you, you can feel the difference. Love feels like satisfaction, but there's way more than satisfaction in this exhilaration of life from time to time, isn't there? Yeah. Good? Good.
I've gotten a lot from all the questions and all the different perspectives. How do I work? How do I move through
by not trying to, by just accomplishing a different perspective and letting the universe do the work for you?
That's so foreign.
We know, because you've accomplished through your action and through your deliberate attention to things, and so it's not so different. We're asking for deliberate attention still. We're asking you to accept that you've already done the asking and you've already put all the building blocks in place, and now you're just waiting for the next inspiration that feels good in order to start allowing it to unfold.
Can I try and rephrase that?
Yes.
So I've done the asking, and now I'm sitting in a place of allowing. And then when the inspiration, the thought, the outside influence arrives to me.
It's really the inside influence, but...
Inside. Then I take that action?
Yeah, but only if it feels good and is exciting to you. If you feel moved to do it, then do it. If it feels like something you want to do. Because you're not doing it to fix something, and you're really not doing it for an ending place, because that messes it all up. It feels like something that you want to do. And the first time or two or three that it feels like that, even though it's irrational maybe, but you follow it and then it leads to something that is perfectly rational, then you'll know you've got it. And it doesn't take very much. In fact, you've done that many times, but now when you do it, you'll notice it more.
I'm good with that at work. So I go to work, like I can feel the inspiration, I take that action. I get home. Where's
the inspiration coming from? Is it coming from someone else, though? Is it coming from another person? Is it an assignment?
No, it's a creation. I want to develop. I want to do this with real estate, and then it comes, and it's
so
great.
You know what that feels like.
Yes.
You know what something that turned into a wild goose chase felt like at the beginning.
Yes.
And you know how something that sort of illogically felt exhilarating to you turned into something really good. So you know the distinction between the emotional relationship with the idea and how it turned out. Mostly, don't you?
Yes.
So, couldn't you apply that to anything? Or is there something that you have more resistance going on?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, home life, kids, wife has her own mind, which is crazy. She has her own desires.
They're all agreeing. But think about what you're saying. So what you're saying is, when I put myself into a more focused environment where there are not so many other things for me to consider, I get control of my own vibration and I can mesh with my inner being more easily. But when there are other human components, I find myself feeling the need to mesh with them, and it doesn't seem like I can mesh with them and my inner being at the same time. Feels like one or the other. And that's what we were talking about earlier when we were talking about too much conversation. Hardly anybody gives themselves an opportunity to get into the receptive mode. There's too much to do, too many people to talk to, too many things to solve, too many things to do, too much activity. And so it's really not too much. But if you're not carving out for yourself that 15 minutes that you can quiet your mind and then get into the receiving mode, then the chatter from life overwhelms you. And only when there's really strong belief or expectation do you break through into receiving. I want to give you a very brief story that will really speak to what we're talking about. So Esther has been meditating for years, but it's only been recently that we've really been talking a lot about getting into that quiet place so that you can recognize when you're in the receiving mode. So she'd been meditating every day for several weeks. And then a friend was coming and they were going to take a walk around the loop in her neighborhood. And both of them had already meditated. And when her friend got there, they went out through the courtyard, and there's a man-made stream that Esther had put in a couple of years ago that really has wonderful sound. It's like sitting by a mountain stream. And they sat down for just a moment by the stream to visit a little bit before they started to walk. And then they decided, why don't we take a minute and meditate together? So they closed their eyes and focused on the stream because it was such a blissful thought. And it was like being in paradise. And since both of them had already meditated, they were already in a very receptive mode. And so both of them went right into meditation. Esther felt herself immediately feel that detachment. And then a jet flew over. And then another jet flew over. And then another jet flew over. And then another jet flew over. Jets don't usually fly over like that, and so many of them all at once. And Esther found herself for just a moment feeling annoyed because they sat specifically to listen to the stream. But the jets are flying over, and then Esther focused on the stream anyway and found it, even with the Air Force focused on her gardens. And got right into that place. And then, as they were walking, Esther said, what just happened is just what Abraham is wanting us to experience in life. We're able to tune ourselves to connection no matter what else crazy is going on around us. Stable, but it takes a little time to get that momentum going. And before you can do it, you have to know these things. First, you have to know that source is there. Otherwise, you don't have anything to connect to. Next, you have to know that your vortex is there. Otherwise, you don't have anything to reach for. But once you know all of that, and you do, then all you got to do is practice connecting until you could be in any environment. And that's really what unconditional love is. It's not needing the conditions to all line up for you. It's not needing to be in a sacred garden where everything has been put on hold so that there's nothing that's going to happen in there except you and your quieted mind. It's not that kind of condition that's necessary. You can find alignment under all conditions. And when you do, when you come out to play with those around you, oh, it is so blissful, whether they're in alignment or not. Do you know they do not have to be in alignment in order for you to be in alignment? And if your alignment is conditional on what they do, then you grow to resent them because it feels like they're keeping you from what you found over there, but you can't find over there. When what you want to demonstrate with everything that you are is that you can find alignment anytime, anywhere, because it's who you are. It's the most natural thing. That jet's been flying over as long as you've been in existence. You can tune to that really easily. Want to talk about it in more? Yeah.
No, that was great. That was like...